Hello, hello. This is the My Artifact episode number 3702. Today's date is November 14, 2025. It's been almost like a night at 9:37 p.m. All right, let's just jump into the question. Let's go. All right, the question is, what if beauty was defined universally? Oh, okay. This is a really good question. All right, yeah. First of all, what exactly is this question and why am I asking this question to myself? This is what if question. Why am I asking this question to myself? What if question is always really interested way to give the answer. It kind of like a force you to think about that reality. And when I try to think about that reality, it kind of like a feels really good. Like basically what I'm trying to tell you is this thing. When I try to think about that reality, when I try to construct that reality, that construction really required kind of like a knowledge and experience and things that I okay. Now basically when I try to use my information and knowledge and experience for constructing that reality, I'm utilizing that knowledge and information which kind of like is stuck inside of my head somewhere in the corner. Okay, yeah. Because of this question, it kind of like evoke those kind of like some memories or information, and it kind of like some still spark. I don't know. It's how do I supposed to? I don't know. It kind of like felt really good. That's it. That's what I'm saying. I don't really have any kind of like a proper explanation regarding about that. Okay. Disclaimer: the information that I'm trying to tell you is not exactly right or is not exactly wrong either. It is just my opinion. So do not believe in any kind of like information that I'm saying, or do not seek for any kind of like information that I'm saying. Okay, yeah. It's raw, it's unfiltered, it is just my opinion, and opinion are subjective. Alright. So should we proceed? Alright, now let's proceed. Now regarding about this question, the question says, what if the beauty was defined universally? Okay, yeah. Now this question is kind of like a somewhat something look simple, but it's not simple, but it's not even hard as well as too. Okay, let's just understand simple by like let's understand as simple as possible as it can. What is exactly a beauty? Yeah, what is exactly a beauty? Okay, yeah. If you are like if I'm gonna say that what is exactly the beauty, you might consider as a kind of like a somebody Bollywood actress, or kind of like a somebody the woman that you love or things or something like that, right? Yeah. And those women are also kind of like a represent beautiness. Yeah, definitely those are okay. Let's take a kind of like a some simple example. I am kind of like a admire kind of like a somebody one actress named Deepika Padukone. Okay, yeah. Does she look beautiful? Yeah, is she that she's really look beautiful. Oh yeah. So what makes a woman beautiful? Like what kind of like some facial structure should supposed to be look that she will become beautiful? There is no kind of like some structure that we have. Like basically what exactly is this thing? Beautiness is doesn't really have a kind of like some mathematical problem that we should supposed to solve and kind of like a simply that face will become beauty. No, definitely not. Okay, yeah. Beauty is a very subjective. The person that I think she is really beautiful, other person might not think that she is really beautiful. Why? Because it's a very subjective. Okay, yeah. Another thing, the beauty is actually comes from the ethnicity. I am Indian. Okay, yeah. And usually I like women in India. Okay, like I like women in India. Like it doesn't mean that I didn't really like the kind of like a women in around the world. Okay, yeah. I also like them, but still I prefer to be a kind of like a some Indian woman. Like she's look really beautiful. Okay, yeah. Like if I'm gonna say, let's just say there is a Mexican woman, American, European, Chinese or South Korean, which kind of like a woman should I supposed to pick for kind of like a beautiful standardness? I would pick a kind of like a mostly Indian. Why? Because it's kind of like a simply ethnicity. Okay, yeah, because of that key, I'm kind of like a simply belong to that particular surrounding area and things like that. And basically is this thing that key Indian face look kind of like a bit more familiar to me, as well as kind of like a look kind of like a simply appealing to me, as well as kind of like a look very close to me. Okay, yeah. It doesn't mean that another women are not really look really beautiful. They are also look really beautiful too, but they look really foreign to me. A foreigner, a kind of like something very different. Okay, yeah. So this is what it is. Now, basically, this thing, it's just my perspective, it's just my subjective. Okay, yeah. Subjective opinion. Okay, yeah. Now, if I'm gonna say there is also another person who is also from India, he might gonna choose American. American person might gonna choose kind of like somebody Korean. A Korean person might gonna choose a kind of like a Mexican. It's a completely different. Yeah, we might have kind of like some sort of kind of like somebody choosing which one woman kind of like look really beautiful and things like that. But still, okay, yeah. Why am I objecting women as a kind of like beautiful standardness? Because this is what kind of like somebody the society that we are kind of like been through. Like if I'm gonna say beauty means a woman face, that's it. Okay, yeah. But in scientific point of perspective, beauty is not just a kind of like a woman face. Okay, yeah. A beautiful babies too, beautiful puppies too, a beautiful kind of like a something elephant too. Have you seen baby elephant? It look really beautiful too. Okay, yeah. Baby deer or any kind of like a somebody baby which look really beautiful. Not exactly every species has a kind of like a babies look really beautiful, but mostly somewhat like a baby horse, baby cow, baby giraffe, baby elephant, baby human are look very beautiful. Like a basically their face is kind of like a somewhat something considered as a kind of like something beautiful, things like that. But still is this thing that this is a kind of like very natural beauty. Okay, yeah, that every species actually comes with it. But since we're grown, okay, like since we grown up and things like that, our face change very drastically. Now I'm gonna ask the question that the beautiness which actually when that baby is like the what is the difference between the baby beauty and the kind of like assembly the grown beauty? Okay, what exactly is this thing? What is exactly it difference? Okay, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna tell you kind of like only my opinion. Okay, yeah. It's a very subjective, by the way. It's just my opinion. Okay, yeah. I might be completely wrong, but it's my opinion. It's my subjective thing. All right, yeah, and it's a very subjective. All right. So every face kind of like something resonate different emotion inside our mind. Okay, yeah. Now let's take an example as a kind of like a Deepika Padukone and compare this Deepika Padukone face with the kind of like assembly a baby a baby elephant. Okay, let's take a baby elephant. Take a kind of like a compare this thing, Deepika Padukone face and kind of like a baby elephant. Okay, yeah. Now basically this thing baby elephant look little bit of beautiful. Like it's not really beautiful. It kind of like considered as a cute because it's a elephant and it's a baby and it's a kind of like a little bit cute. Now regarding about the cuteness, should I supposed to be represent that ki Deepika Padukone look really cute? Not really. Okay, yeah. Because Deepika Padukone is a kind of like a grown woman. Okay, yeah. And she shouldn't supposed to be look cute. Like it's not that ki she is not really look cute, but probably is this thing na ki she's a grown woman. Cuteness is usually comes from kind of like a somebody the like mostly represent age. Okay, when the kind of like a somebody beautiful cute baby like a beautiful baby, it represent cuteness. Okay, yeah. But since we kind of like a grown, then cuteness factor is actually gone. But beauty still remains. So Deepika Padukone looks really beautiful. Okay, yeah. Now the baby elephant, does it really look beautiful? Well, regarding about the baby elephant, I don't really consider that because it's not considered as a kind of like a beautiful. It's kind of like a cute. So what I'm trying to tell you is this thing: all the kind of like assembly the babies, human, baby elephant, baby cow, baby giraffe, baby like every kind of like assembly baby. Okay, yeah, they are considered to be a cute. Okay, But beauty is a kind of like somewhat something considered to be a kind of like grown women, probably. But I might be completely wrong in this particular context too. Okay, because the cuteness and the beauty is a kind of like two different thing. Okay, yeah. A face never be kind of like a beauty and cute all at the same time. But there is a kind of like some sort of faces that actually exist. They are kind of like something cute and beauty at the same time. Have you seen Korean women? A Korean women are kind of like somebody look beautiful as well as cute at the same time too. Okay, yeah. Why? Because they have kind of like somebody, I don't know, like what kind of like some symmetry and position between the eyes and kind of like a nose and things like that. But it's somewhat something kind of like they represent cuteness and the beauty at the same time. Okay, yeah. Some faces kind of like represent a beauty. Okay, yeah. Now I'm gonna kind of like mention another face. Let's imagine a Madison Beer. If you don't really know Madison Beer is a kind of like somebody actress slash singer. Okay, yeah. So she is a Madison Beer. Okay, yeah. If you don't really know, just go to the Google, sir, look at that particular. Okay, yeah. Now see that particular face. Now her face, does it look really beautiful? Well, probably it's not. Okay, yeah. She look hot. Okay, she look hot. Now that's a very different perspective. Like basically is this thing that beautiness is very differently. Okay, yeah. Like when I see the Madison Beer, she doesn't look beautiful to me. She looks hot. Okay, yeah. A hot means like a kind of like a somebody like hot. Like how do I say sexy? Probably. Like I'm not really seeing a kind of like entire image. I'm just kind of like looking at her face and things like that. Same thing happened with the oh. Hello, is it recording? Okay, it's recording. Alright, so where we are? Okay, we are actually comparing faces, yeah. Madison Beer, yeah, we were actually at Madison Beer. Okay, yeah. So basically is this thing, when you looked at the Madison Beer face, so Madison Beer face is look beautiful. Like, okay, let me give you context. Okay, I'm not saying that her face is not really look beautiful. I'm saying that her face represent hotness more. Okay, let me give you context. Okay, like a rating would be really good. So if I'm gonna say, let's take a kind of like a somebody Madison Beer face. Okay, so Madison Beer face, is that face is cute? What kind of like a somebody mark would you kind of like a give? 10 out of 2 regarding about the cuteness. Okay, yeah. Beautiness, how much mark would you supposed to be give? 10 out of 6. Okay, yeah. Hotness, like a hotness and sexy and things like that. How much would you rate? Just look at the face and things like that. I would give you almost like a 10 out of almost like a 9 probably. Okay, yeah. Take another face, Deepika Padukone. Regarding about cuteness, how much cute her face? Probably 10 out of maybe 4. Okay, yeah. 4 or 5, yeah. 4 or, yeah, 4, not more 5, 4. Okay, yeah. Beauty. Beautiness, 10 out of almost like a 8, 9. Okay, yeah. 8, yeah. 8 would be good. Okay, yeah. Hotness. Does she look really hot? Like regarding about Deepika Padukone, she does not look really hot to me. For me. Okay, yeah. It probably kind of like a look hot to other if kind of like a she makeup and things like that. But still is this thing that she for me she doesn't really look that much hot. Okay, yeah. Now hotness is kind of like something very different. Okay, and by the way, this kind of like something emotions of hotness are kind of like something just came means like that like within almost like within maybe 20 or maybe 50 year. Yeah, because 50 year ago the hotness is not even kind of like a exist. I'm saying is that ki like exist means like it's my opinion, it's my perspective. Okay, because let me give you context. Okay, a hotness is kind of like a represent that her face is look really hot. um we are gonna take another example. Okay, in the hotness factor we might gonna talk about kind of like a somebody, um um Kylie Jenner. Okay, Kylie Jenner. Yeah, Kylie Jenner. Yes, Kylie Jenner. Kylie Jenner is also a model too. Okay, Hollywood, by the way. Her face is hot. It like, does she represent kind of like a cuteness? No. Does she represent any kind of like a beauty? Yeah, somewhat. 10 out of maybe 4. Regarding about hotness, sexy, it might be 10 out of 11. Yeah. Now, hotness is a kind of like a somebody hotness or sexy. These are kind of like a somebody faces are kind of like a very different regarding about that key. Those faces are not actually born by nature or kind of like a created by nature. No, these hot faces are actually created by man-made advantages and surgeries and things and that. Okay, like there is couple of surgery, I am not really sure, but there is a Botox surgery, then cheek and filler surgery. Okay, there are a couple of kind of like surgeries that actually exist. Okay, it's not a plastic surgery, it's a plastic surgery, but it's a very minimum. Okay, yeah, that kind of like assembly with this surgery, that face look little bit of kind of like assembly hot. Okay, yeah, beauty too, but like basically if you still not really convinced with my thought process, then probably you should supposed to be compare the Kylie Jenner photo when she was kind of like a child, or when she was kind of like a somewhat teenager, and Kylie Jenner now. Okay, yeah, you kind of like a seen lot of transformation in her face, and this actually happened is because of kind of like a all those kind of like a surgeries and Botox and things and that and that. Okay, which evoke emotions of sexy and hotness. Same thing happened with the Madison Beer too. Okay, yeah. Deepika Padukone, her face doesn't really represent that. Okay, because her face is literally natural. There is also another kind of like a somebody face that I wanted to mention over here. Okay, yeah. Um, uh, Sayara movie. Okay, I'm not really sure her name. In 2025 there is a Bollywood movie came Sayara. Okay, yeah, and in this Sayara movie there is an actress name. I'm not really sure that actress. You just Google at her. Her face is like a, it's kind of like a somewhat something cute. Okay, yeah, with beauty too. Okay, yeah, which represent really good. Now, having hotness, it's essential or not? Well, I'm not really consider that. It's not. Like I don't really think that key. Like basically the sexy, like I don't know. Okay, yeah, like basically is this thing. There are multiple body posture to represent that how much sexy that you are by kind of like a somebody boob size and hub size and things. I'm specifically talking about the women. I'm not actually objectifying women, but kind of like this kind of like a beauty is actually mostly represent to the women. So that's why I'm kind of like a representing that. I'm not really try to objectify. If there is a my kind of like a somebody comments are kind of like a somebody hurting somebody, it's not, it's just my opinion probably, and it's very subjective, and I'm just trying to explain this question as simple as possible as it can. Okay, yeah. The actress named Sayara movie, like she looks kind of like a bit really cute and beauty too. Okay, yeah. Now, what is exactly kind of like a standard definition of beautiness? Like there is no standard definition, there is no standard thing. Okay, yeah. Every person like very different kind of like a women's and things like that. Now, when we try to think about the beauty, why we actually represent only women as a beauty? Why not men as a beauty? Well, men are not beautiful. Men should supposed to be handsome. Okay, yeah. Now, handsome is considered to be a kind of like somewhat something equivalent to a beauty, but something very different. Okay, yeah. Now there is a couple of kind of like assembly the faces that look little bit of kind of like assembly handsome. Okay, from my point of perspective, Hugh Jackman. Wow, like basically his body physics and the facial structure is kind of like a look little bit of handsome. Then the Superman, okay, Man of Steel. Okay, I'm not talking about the Superman who's actually like a James Gunn. No, I'm talking about the Henry Cavill. Yeah, Henry Cavill. Henry Cavill face, like a muscular and kind of like a represent that handsome, but as well as kind of like a somebody. It's not. I'm not really considered as a kind of like a his face is beauty, but his face is a kind of like a have his own structure. But let me tell you the concept. Okay, yeah. Main face. Okay, yeah, are kind of like a somewhat something always being handsome. Okay, I don't know how do I supposed to explain this thing. Okay, yeah. Um, if you didn't really take care of women face, okay, of if the woman didn't really take care of her face, how she looks and things like that, then her face is became kind of like a something dull and yeah, with respect to time. With respect to time. Okay, yeah. But the male face are kind of like a somebody, it's not dull. It will be a dull, but kind of like a somebody her his dullness is kind of like a represent kind of like a handsome. I don't know how do I supposed to explain this thing. Like a have you ever kind of like a somebody seen a kind of like a somebody 60, 70-year-old mm, old kind of like somebody grandpa looks kind of like somebody look really beautiful, look like really handsome face. Like there is a kind of like somebody I watched the movie named The Intern. Okay, yeah. Anna Hathaway is a kind of like actress, and with the co-star there is a kind of like a somebody 60, 70-year-old guy. I'm not really sure what is exactly his name, but he look at his face. His face is kind of like a somebody like a 70-year-old guy, but he is look really handsome too. Okay, yeah. By the way, his skin is bitterly dull, but still he looks like a really beautiful face. Okay, yeah, like a really handsome face. Okay, there are so many kind of like a male faces are actually exist, like a Shah Rukh Khan. Okay, yeah. Shah Rukh Khan face is kind of like somewhat something really good. It's considered to be kind of like something very handsome and things like that. Now, male faces can be a cute. Male faces can be a cute. Well, probably. Also, I don't know. Okay, yeah. I think that if I'm gonna say cuteness, a male face kind of like a cuteness, then there is only one. Like there is couple of faces are actually kind of like stuck inside of me. Um, Army. What is that? South Korean boy drama, boy drum. What is that? What exactly is this thing? I don't know. There is a kind of like a boys are look like a girl. I'm not really sure. BTS. Okay, so South Korean boy band BTS. Okay, I don't know what is exactly the full form of this name. Just search about the BTS. These boys are like way much like different. They are beautiful, and they are beautiful, yeah, and they are kind of like representing some of the cuteness. Like it's kind of like really very hard to describe that those are male actually. Okay, but I am not blaming them. Definitely not. Is their culture like basically in the South Korean? The beauty standards are way much higher, and basically it's not just women but as well as male are kind of like take care of their skins and things, and they are way much kind of like something important from them. Okay, yeah, for them. So if I'm gonna say male face can be a cute, yeah, it might be. Okay, and there is a couple of faces would be a kind of like a something like the BTS. Okay, and these are boys face are bit more cute. Okay, but regarding about, okay, the question is that I just completely forgot what is actually the question. The question says, what if the beauty was defined as a universally? if the beauty was actually defined by universally, then probably is this thing we might have kind of like a standardized system for beautiness. Okay, yeah. And when we have kind of like a standardized system, then everyone are trying to seek that kind of like a standardized system for beautiness. Then everyone are kind of like a look really that kind of like a standardized system of beauty, and it became kind of like a dull, like basically what exactly is this thing? If I'm gonna say a beauty face is kind of like a somewhat something, it's just my opinion, by the way. Okay, in Northeast India, okay, I'm not really sure Northeast India or somewhere, probably I don't know, like basically there is a couple of women in somewhere part of the world. They have traditional to kind of like a wear lot of bangles in their neck. Okay, yeah, and their beauty standard is actually represented by how big is their neck. Okay, how long is their neck, and that's why they are kind of like putting a lot of kind of like sort of bangles on their neck and things like that. And it was like basically is this thing. Yeah, some people are considered to be their beautiful standardness. Okay, yeah, in African traditional point of perspective, their beautiness is kind of like a way much different. um I don't know, okay, but their tradition, they're kind of like a somebody, yeah. So I don't know. It's a way like basically is this thing na ki what is actually beauty is actually defined. Dude, yaar. I was kind of like just talking about the beauty and stuff like that, but I didn't talk about the kind of like some question. The question actually about the beautiful universal standard. Okay, let me give the context. Okay, if the beautiful is kind of like some universal standard, then everyone became kind of like it's normal and things that. When basically is this thing, not everyone kind of like a look really kind of like a similar and things like that, and people are kind of like a look really similar. Then probably is this thing that came. I don't know, yeah. Okay, it's not really that. I'm not really good at the moment. I have a lot of pressure. I just want to release. Alright, this is it. Thank you.